Something is clearly wrong with Nora. She knows more than she's saying, and in Furious Episode 4, that suspicion becomes harder to ignore. While Alice and Danny continue digging into the mystery surrounding Isabel, their investigation takes them somewhere they probably never expected to go, an orphanage connected to Isabel's past. And what they find there could completely change the direction of the investigation. But the biggest question isn't just what Alice and Danny discover. It's what Nora is hiding. Because the closer they get to the truth, the more obvious it becomes that someone has been protecting a secret. And Nora may be holding the most important piece of the puzzle. Alice and Danny refuse to let the mystery go. At this point in the story, Alice and Danny have already realized that Isabel's story doesn't add up. There are too many unanswered questions, too many gaps in the past, and too many people who seem to know something but aren't willing to say it. Instead of accepting the easy explanation, Alice and Danny decide to keep investigating. And that's where Episode 4 really begins to pick up momentum. Their search leads them toward Isabel's history, and eventually they uncover a connection to an orphanage. At first, it might seem like another dead end, but the orphanage could hold the answers to questions that have been hanging over the story from the beginning. Who was Isabel before the events we've been following? What happened to her? Who was protecting her? And why is this particular place so important? The more Alice and Danny investigate, the more the orphanage begins to feel less like a location from Isabel's past and more like a missing piece of the present mystery. Isabel's past may hold the answer. One of the most interesting things about Episode 4 is the way it connects the current investigation with Isabel's history. Alice and Danny aren't simply searching for information about something that happened recently. They're digging into events that go much further back. And that's dangerous because the past has a way of exposing people who thought their secrets were buried. The orphanage becomes especially significant because it could reveal details about Isabel that nobody has been willing to discuss. Every mystery needs a starting point, and for Alice and Danny, this could be it. Instead of asking only what happened to Isabel, they're now asking a much bigger question. What happened to Isabel before anyone knew her? That distinction matters. Because if something happened at the orphanage, it could explain relationships, secrets, and decisions that otherwise don't make sense. And the deeper Alice and Danny go, the more they realize they may not be investigating one mystery. They may be uncovering an entire history. Then there's Nora. But while Alice and Danny are searching for answers, Nora is quietly holding onto something. And that's where the episode becomes even more suspicious. Nora isn't simply another character caught in the middle of the investigation. She appears to know something important. Something she doesn't want Alice and Danny to find. The question is why? Is Nora trying to protect herself? Is she protecting Isabel? Or is there another reason she's keeping the information hidden? Whatever her motivation, Nora's silence becomes increasingly important. Because sometimes what a character refuses to say can be more revealing than what they actually say. And Episode 4 makes it clear that Nora has a clue. Possibly the biggest clue yet. The problem is that she isn't ready to hand it over. The biggest clue yet. This is what makes Nora's storyline so important. Alice and Danny are doing everything they can to uncover the truth from the outside. They're following leads. They're investigating Isabel's history. They're looking for connections. But Nora may already have something that could save them all that work. And instead of revealing it, she's keeping it hidden. That creates a dangerous situation. Because the investigators are getting closer to the truth, without realizing that someone standing near them may already know where the answers are. And if Nora's clue connects Isabel to the orphanage, then everything changes. The orphanage isn't simply part of Isabel's backstory. It could be the place where the entire mystery began. A connection to Isabel. And potentially people or records that could explain what happened. That gives their investigation a completely different direction. Instead of chasing rumors, they're finally following a trail. And that's exactly what makes the episodes so compelling. The closer they get, the more questions appear. If Isabel's past is important, who else knows about it? If the orphanage holds answers, why hasn't anyone talked about it before? And if Nora already has a crucial clue, why is she keeping it from Alice and Danny? These aren't small questions. They suggest that the truth may be much bigger than Alice and Danny initially believed. Nora's secret could change everything. Nora's decision to hide the clue may ultimately be one of the most important developments of Episode 4, because it puts her in a complicated position. She may not necessarily be the villain. She could have her own reasons for staying silent. Maybe she believes revealing the truth will hurt someone. Maybe she's afraid of what happens when Alice and Danny discover everything. Or maybe Nora knows that once the truth comes out, there is no going back. That's what makes her so interesting. We don't necessarily know whether we should trust her. And that's exactly where the suspense comes from. Every time Nora appears, viewers are left wondering what she's not telling us. Alice and Danny are getting closer. Meanwhile, Alice and Danny continue moving forward. Their investigation into Isabel's orphanage suggests they're finally approaching the heart of the mystery. But getting close to the truth doesn't necessarily mean they're safe. In stories like this, the closer investigators get, the more dangerous things become. People who have spent years protecting secrets don't suddenly give them up because two people start asking questions. They fight back. They hide evidence. They manipulate the truth. And they make sure nobody gets too close. That's why Alice and Danny need to be careful. They may think they're investigating Isabel, but they could actually be uncovering something that someone has spent years trying to bury. What episode 4 really changes? The biggest achievement of episode 4 is that it expands the mystery. We now have 3 major pieces of the puzzle: Alice and Danny's investigation, Isabel's connection to the orphanage, and Nora's hidden clue. The question is how these 3 pieces fit together. If Nora's information leads directly to Isabel's past, then she may know far more than she's admitted. And if the orphanage contains the answers Alice and Danny are looking for, their next move could finally expose what happened. But there's also a bigger possibility. What if Nora isn't hiding the clue because she wants to stop Alice and Danny? What if she's hiding it because she's afraid of what they'll discover? That could make Nora less of an obstacle and more of a character trapped by the same secret. She has something. She knows something. To the truth than ever. So what do you think? Is Nora protecting Isabel, protecting herself, or hiding something that could expose the real person behind everything? Let me know your theory in the comments. And if you're following Furious, make sure you subscribe to Screenscope for more episode recaps, theories, and ending explanations.